So let's move on to the last section here, the Nerdiverse.
Bum.
So the Nerdiverse. We're gonna kick this off with a show that our residents has had the privilege of watching so far. BoJack Horseman.
Yes.
3 seasons out on Netflix right now, with a 4th season on the way, and they just dropped the season 4 trailer. What better way to kick this off? Let's actually roll Arjuna's review right now of the trailer, his reaction.
And the reason we have a review from Arjuna is because once again he disappeared on us.
Yeah, we don't know where he went.
He went to the McGregor Mayweather fight. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Arjuna here. Just watched BoJack Season 4 trailer and kind of incredible. Honestly, it's the greatest show ever. It's the greatest trailer ever, and I'm super excited. But honestly, really good stuff. I like how it was cut. I liked the way they did it, the music. And even, playing up the fact that maybe BoJack's not even in this season. Maybe he's missing the whole time, which probably isn't the case, but part of me hopes it is, because that would just be really interesting and kind of cool to see, like, a season of BoJack Horseman without BoJack. But anyway, I want to get your guys' thoughts. Krishna, Evelyn, thoughts?
Oh, thank you, Arjuna. Wherever he went, momentarily. So that trailer, very little of BoJack. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, so the show does a great job of balancing funny and honestly kind of like real life depressingly sad. It goes between these two emotions like really well, and I think what I got from this trailer that it's gonna do is next season is gonna be just as hard hitting as the last 3.
Well, and where we left off in the last season, BoJack Horseman was feeling kind of lost and trying to find more purpose, and it ends with him seeing this herd of wild horses running freely, and he just starts driving into nothing. He closes his eyes, which is just a BoJack thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense that the trailer didn't really have a lot of BoJack because he was kind of leaving at the end of last season. But I hope that the whole season's not like that.
Okay, so that was actually my next question. So if the whole season has no BoJack, will you be disappointed? Or maybe not no BoJack, but very little BoJack?
I mean, I think it would be interesting, and I think for the first few episodes, that'd be really cool to see. But BoJack is awesome.
Yeah.
It's Will Arnett.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, does a fantastic
Unless
job.
it's like all focused on Todd, I
Which
would
one's
start
Todd?
Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul plays Todd.
Which animal is he?
He's not. He's a human.
Oh God.
Okay, all I can think of is Todd.
He's not boring, but
He's great.
Yeah. This is actually one of those shows that's really hard to describe because it's so out there. It's basically like anamorphic, animals, human animals with regular humans, and then live in this
I'm
world.
sorry, is this like the more adult version of Adventure Time?
No,
No,
I've never
nothing
seen
like
Adventure
it.
Time, so I can't.
Wait, you
comment.
watched BoJack Weirdness?
Horseman? Yeah, actually, they finally convinced me. I was like, yeah, why not?
It's really good.
I was like, let me watch the first episode, and I was like, this is so
Christian, it's a horse.
weird.
To be fair,
It stands upright.
It's a horse played by Will Arnett, who's very Will Arnett.
Well, the other thing too is after you watch like a couple episodes, you kind of don't even pay attention to the fact that he has a horse
Exactly.
head. Like
To be fair, I've
it's
heard
just
from
what
a
the
lot of
character
people.
looks like.
I will say this: it captures Hollywood in a very interesting light. I can't say accurately because I'm not in that lifestyle.
Oh, do you mean
But
like in the
it's
terms of
interesting.
like predictable story?
No,
It's
it's
not-
not.
it's
It's not predictable at
It's not.
all.
It's one of
But
those
you
least
said it
predictable
captures
stories.
Hollywood and
No, Hollywood
Anyway.
the setting, not Hollywood.
and like
the thing.
life in Hollywood.
Yeah, absolutely.
life in Hollywood is silliness.
Yes, and it captures that very well.
Yeah.
So BoJack, that'll be coming out, and we'll have a lot more content on that. I'm sure. Juno
It'll
will
be
not let
so
it be
good.
otherwise. I'm sure. So this next one I actually have no idea about, but DC is making non-DCEU movies. What is this?
Please explain.
So it's
Yeah,
very,
please explain.
It's very simple. Hi, I'm a Warner Brothers studio exec.
And I'm not.
Oh, hi. Oh, look over there. Marvel. They're doing the cinematic thing. I have no ideas. Let me copy it. I mess up. Oh, guess what? I'm still messing up. How do I act different? Oh, I know. I'll just start making movies for shits and giggles. And that's where we're at.
So wait, what movies are they making that are not part of this overall all-encompassing universe? Because with DC, you have a lot that DC goes heavily into the multiverse. So they could say it's all part of the DCEU. It's just a different universe, like a different multiverse. Like, what are they doing that?
So the idea is, okay, so they're making movies to make a movie, right? I guess the question is,
like Suicide Squad?
Well, here's the thing. We're kind of at this point in the comic book movie ideology, or whatever you want to call it, that, if you make a single movie, this movie has to be part of a universe. Guess what? It doesn't. It can just be a movie about a character and a story. I mean, what are comics at their core? A story. There's a protagonist, protagonist and an antagonist. There's the build up, the drop down, all that nonsense, right? Character development, all that garbage, right? So,
but you can't put that aside for the Defenders. No. Sorry, continue.
Krishna, I will come over there and
I
slap you.
I just wanted to show though
there's
that
a difference.
There's
a difference.
Yeah.
Marvel came out and said, here's the goddamn Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm going to shove it in your face, and you have to love it. They have.
You read press releases.
They
Those
have.
aren't shoving it in your face.
They are shoving it in my stupid face.
Oh, God. No, not your face.
And while DC, I kind of like slow, awkward clap to Warner Bros. Because it's like, there are really cool story arcs for Batman. There's a crap ton of variations. There are cool stories for like the Joker. There are cool stories for like Blue Beetle. There are like all these random characters. There are cool stories. I think DC maybe has kind of grown up a little and realized maybe we're getting stuck up off this stupid universe building nonsense.
Stop trying to connect it all.
Stop trying to connect it and just make interesting, make interesting stories that people want to watch.
So we want to clarify. So they're still making superhero movies. They're just not going to appear as part of the collective.
Right. And to be fair, they have probably the hardest task ahead of them, because people are going to go watch, like, let's say they come out with a standalone Batman film, right?
Yeah.
Like let's say they come out with a movie called Under the Red Hood, right? Which is about one of Batman's Robins turning evil, coming back from the dead, right? Let's say they just throw this movie out there. Most of the population is going to be very confused how this movie ties in with the DCE cinematic universe, right?
Because they're so used to it.
Because they're so used to it. They're so used to this idea of it's a comic book movie, so it's tied into everything else. It's tied into all this other stuff. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them. But I think it's very interesting, and I'm slightly okay with it.
I actually kind of agree.
Slightly okay.
Like, mark this down. I agree with Ravi.
Mark it down.
But seriously, because that's how, DC has done that with all of their animated features. They don't tie in.
Yep.
You've got Flashpoint Paradox. You've got Crisis on Two Earths. You've got Crisis on Infinite Earths. You've got You've got so many different things. You've got
you have Under the Red Hood, actually.
Under the Red Hood. I know, that's what I was gonna say. Right. Now you've ruined that story if they decide to do it for anyone who is not familiar with the DC plot lines and things like that. But yeah, there are so many that they put out and they are not connected. And if you look, there are so many comic book arcs that are, you start a comic book arc, you run the storyline, it's 6 issues or whatever, 6-7 issues, and then it's done. And then we move on to something else. And so it's kind of refreshing. It's kind of like watching comic book movies that are like comic books again, instead of it having to tie into one giant universe.
The other way they could go about doing it as well. So obviously Warner Brothers as a movie studio is the one that's pushing the big like DC films, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, and so forth. Obviously there are kind of variations, other stories that are told under the DC Comics subsidiaries, such as like Dark Horse. They have like their own
IDW.
Batman stories,
Star
and
Wars
so
too,
forth.
right? Dark Horse?
Used to. That's
they're on
over
Marvel
now.
now.
Okay, gotcha.
But you could kind of take one of those stories, pump it through almost a different studio, and just use like Warner Brothers as a distributor, essentially. You could go through another studio or whatever, but have Warner Brothers still do the distribution rights, which is, let's be honest, at the end of the day, that's all they really care about is distribution.
Make money.
Well,
That's where the money comes from.
Easy money.
And it still makes sense that movies like the members of the Justice League and all that ties into one universe because that's where they're going with that, and that's fine. But yeah, I think separate characters like the Red Hood, that's going to be anything like that where you do tie in one of those major characters might be a little tough. But started off with something like you said, the Blue Beetle, that would be great.
Cool.
The Blue Beetle's great, and you can totally do the Blue Beetle and not have to tie in Justice League or anything else. Have a standalone story.
Blue Beetle is the character from Young Justice?
Yes.
Cool.
That's how, that's how we kind of got familiar with Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle, so
And
Young
Green-
Justice
and
originally
Black
came
Beetle.
out 2012, 2013
off of
as
Netflix now.
as a animated series. But the Blue Beetle storyline started in the early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Oh, so it's a new
So it's a
character.
fairly new story.
That's cool.
And so
It's a
forth.
very interesting idea behind him
Definitely.
and his powers.
And
which is
and
cool.
if you haven't watched Young Justice, it's on Netflix. Go watch it because they are coming out with.
It's
Season
not on
3.
Netflix.
It's on Netflix
anymore.
now.
They pulled it.
Oh,
We were halfway through the second season.
Yeah.
Now we
And
need to
then
find a different
I'm
way
we
to
have to
watch
sorry.
figure out how to watch
Yeah.
You know
it.
what? Go to iTunes, find it if it's there. It's a good show,
Might have to do
and
it.
they're coming out with season 3. Also, we would, as always, like to extend our invitation to the Warner Brothers execs to come on our show and talk to us about things.
Okay, cool. So moving on. Unfortunately, I have not seen Black Mirror, but there's a season 4 coming out. And I know it's an amazing show that deals with sci-fi, and it's very relevant to today and whatnot.
I
So,
would basically the
turn it
easiest
over to
way
you.
to sum up Black Mirror is it is this generation's Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It
Except
is
darker.
I wouldn't say it's more darker. I would say it's more realistic in the sense that the stories that they present, they could actually happen. It's not in the realm of impossible. While like with Twilight Zone, there are episodes like where a guy and his crooks rob a bank to steal all his gold. They go into cryo and wake up in the future where gold's worth like nothing. Like that's kind of a little bit of a far-fetched story. While Black Mirror is very kind of set in the present day, using technology, but taking technology to the extreme.
So that's what someone described Black Mirror to me as, is that it's current technology taken to a very extreme level.
Yes.
Like a level that it probably shouldn't go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what we got today was a 50-second teaser with the title of the various episodes that are coming out. One of the episodes that really stands out, and a lot of people are kind of commenting on, is the one that's called USS. It's called USS something, but it's basically very Star Trek-esque. It also seems kind of like a joking mockery of Star Trek. I've spoken to a couple of people, and kind of the general theory is that it's basically you're gonna be looking at this crew in space going da 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 da, space is great, and then something terrible is gonna
Like Doctor
happen, like Doctor Who. That's
Doctor
one
Mars.
possibility. I'm thinking that maybe what we're actually seeing is maybe them actually making a Star Trek type show, and kind of the troubles and everything of producing like a science fiction show, which is very
That would be
meta for a
interesting, yeah.
science fiction show to be talking
would
about
be
a science
interesting.
fiction show.
Making of the
Right.
science fiction show.
But you know, Black Mirror has never kind of stayed away from that type of idea or so forth.
Do you know how many episodes are coming out in season 4? Or what's the typical?
Seven episodes.
Usually
10 episodes.
10. Oh shoot.
10 episodes. And
Someone
it
off screen told us 10.
10 episodes, and it starts September 8th. It's a Netflix original series now, thank goodness. It used to be BBC something or
Yeah, it was
other.
BBC.
It's BBC.
Oh, wow.
And then Netflix was like,
Picked it up.
I
Nice.
want that.
I want it.
Nice.
Give it to me.
That.
That's very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very excited for that.
Yeah.